SEO brakes G20 also, sir. So I don't think so. And also in Swadeshi Melas, people not much aware about the thing, so they do this type of thing, sir. As I believe.
Okay. Can robots replace administrative assistants?
No, sir.
Why?
Sir, because a human create robots, not a robot create.
Human creating robots.
Yes, sir.
Working as assistants in administration.
Yes, sir. So
is it possible?
Sir, no, sir. In future, robots can't replace the humans, sir.
Okay. But certain routine jobs they can always do. What is your opinion on this?
So, in routine job, robots make our life easy, and with the help of robotic or accessible devices, the life of people become easy. As I personally use this robotic wheelchair, it make my life easy. So I don't think so. Robotics can take job of humans. Sir.
But with the advent of artificial intelligence, decision making can be done.
Sir, there is a program only artificial intelligence. We just put a certain type of data and it gives certain amount of results. Sir. But human thinking is very much beyond of that, sir.
Okay. Where do you see yourself after 10 years?
So, I see myself after 10 years very good bureaucrat as an IAS, sir.
Okay, that's wonderful. All the very best to you. Thank you.
Suraj, so you
अरे आजा आजा है तो बता क्या होता है
आजा 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 जल्दी बोले जाओ वो इसलिए नहीं है टोपा लग रहा है इसकी
आ तो रहा ले भी नहीं आ रहा है तुम
कैसे चल के आ सकते हैं
all the very best to you. Thank you.
Suraj, so you shine bright and high just like the sun.
Thank you.
May continue to do so. What is the reason that the sun keeps shining? Where does it derive its energy from?
Basically, the sun, the notion of sun, we see the nuclear fission reaction in sun, hydrogen and helium.
Is there fission or fusion?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm confused on that.
Okay, no problem. Can you tell me something about India's Aditya L1 mission?
Aditya L1 mission, ma'am, I'm not very much know, but I some guess.
Okay, try.
Aditya L1 mission for the study of sun corona, and it is not implemented yet, I think, and it will be implemented on 2025 approx.
Okay, just look up the dates once again. The dates, launching dates, just see them once again, okay? India also had PM Kusum Yojana. Are you aware of it?
I aware, but
with respect to solar energy and farmers coming together.
Sorry, ma'am, I am not aware.
Okay, what are the India solar energy targets?
India solar energy target, basically India target in COP26 in Paris. India 50% on 2030 rely on non-renewable energy. And on 2070 we have net zero emission also target.
Okay. You are a student of sociology. Can you tell me how sociology is different from common sense? Because sociology is finally the study of society. And any person who's part of society can claim to be a sociologist because he has seen society by his or her own experience. Then how is a sociologist different from the person who's using the common sense?
Ma'am, common sense, it generally a common sense. But in sociology, we have take researches, we create a hypothesis, and we find rational and logical thinking. Why this is happening? If poverty is exist, why this exists? In common sense, we see poverty exists because we don't have much financial resources, and that's why poverty exists. But in sociology, when we research and find out the results, then we know that poverty not only for economic resources but also from other factor also affect this. That's why common sense is very different from sociology.
Since you mentioned poverty, who's the sociologist who studied poverty and gave this angle perspective?
Ma'am, exactly name I will not recall, but the research being done in UK in 18th century, ma'am.
What is culture of poverty?
Culture of poverty. The statement, as I recall, ma'am, the statement given by Pierre Bourdieu.
Bordeaux. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, and sorry, ma'am, I am not.
Okay, no problem. My last question to you: if you look at the Constitution, which article happens to be your favorite?
Article 1.
Article 1. And what does it say?
It's India that is Bharat.
The complete article, if you can remember, India that is Bharat.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Suraj, it is generally said that India is engaging with Taliban in Afghanistan, but not endorsing it.
I'm not understanding the question, sir, exactly.
Okay, I'll ask you something else.
Can you repeat the same question? At the end question, I'm not.
India is engaging with Taliban in Afghanistan, but not endorsing the Taliban in Afghanistan. Endorsing, yeah.
Actually, Taliban issue is not a simple issue. It's a major threat, not only for India but all over the world. When we took Taliban in Afghanistan, they have not nuclear resources in their own territory. So, India not. India support Afghanistan on humanitarian ground, but the impact of Taliban continuously we seeing also in Pakistan. If Taliban capture Pakistan, it's a major threat not only for India but all over the world, sir.
Okay. See, Pakistan generally pursues the policy of gaining strategic depth in Afghanistan. What is that? Pursuing strategic depth. Okay. See, recently the deep sea research of China is making the headlines. Okay. So, what is the significance of deep sea research?
I'm not know about the exact answer, but if you allow me to answer.
You may try.
So, in deep research, as is, China claims South China Sea and continuously mines in deep ocean on that.
Okay. Does India have any such missions relating to deep sea or deep oceans?
Yes, sir. India has a deep mission in Antarctica and Arctic. In Arctic.
Okay. My last question to you is: there are some regulatory issues, which often crops up with urban cooperative banks. What are those regulatory issues?
Urban cooperative banks. So majorly issues I not know, but if allow me to guess. Basically, non-performing asset issue they generally face, and second is priority sector lending. They not fulfill the criteria, and
Suraj, you are from Mainpuri.
yes, sir.
Tell me how Mainpuri has played an important role in the politics of the state and the country.
So from Mainpuri, respected leader Mulayam Singh Yadav came from, and he is a member of parliament also, and he is member of parliament from Mainpuri, and he also chief minister of he was chief minister of Uttar Pradesh also, and so Mainpuri played.
Can you relate any other important politician with Mainpuri?
Dharmendra Yadav, who also MP from district Mainpuri.
What are the agricultural products of Mainpuri? Main agricultural products?
The main agriculture product mainly lasun, wheat, rice. Rice not very much, but wheat and lasun, potato are the.
Sugarcane is also grown there, or is not grown?
No, sir, not in the area of Mainpuri.
Not in the area of Mainpuri. What is the industrial importance of Mainpuri? Okay, thank you very much, Suraj. Your interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
This is going to be your first interview at the UPSC.
Yes, sir.
Which attempt is this?
Sir, it is my second attempt.
Second attempt only. How have you done in the mains?
No, sir. First, I didn't. I did clear, and it is not clear.
Okay. So first mains and first interview. Good. So, how was your experience today, Suraj?
So, some areas I have to prepare on man police, basically, and Taliban issues, and some question asked by ma'am.
You see,
on
Suraj,
some
what happens? There is no end to acquiring knowledge.
Yes, sir.
It is a ongoing process, isn't it? So every day you acquire new knowledge, you learn something new and all that. So remember that is a test of your personality, not the test of your knowledge per se. Because knowledge in any case has been tested through rigorous examination. So you, Suraj, as a person will be examined by the board. What kind of person is he? Is he honest or not? Does he enter into the area of guesswork? Does he keep guessing or not? What is his communication skill? Is he a balanced person or not? Are his opinions balanced or not? All those issues are, and can he think differently or not? Can he give some unique ideas or not on various issues? These are 4, 5, 6 aspects based on which marks is given on the personality test. So knowing a certain thing is not a disadvantage. The problem is not knowing and still speaking is a problem, isn't it? And literally the interaction which we have had with you, we found one.
Good afternoon. Please take a seat. Thanks, sir. You're Mr. Dilip K. Kanikar.
Yes, sir.
So, Dilip, will that be fine if I call you Dilip?
Yeah, Dilip is perfect.
Dilip is fine. So, Dilip, are you vaccinated?
Yes, sir, I am.
Both those?
Yeah, both.
And you're not having any symptoms right now?
No, sir, I don't have any symptoms.
The board is also vaccinated, so I'll advise you to remove your mask.
Thank you, sir.
Comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Fine, Dilip. Then please introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Dilip K. Kainikara. I am from Kottayam district of Kerala, which is also where I did my basic schooling. And then I pursued an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering from IIT Madras, upon completion of which I joined Samsung Electronics at its South Korea headquarters in a research profile in the mobile department. And in 2018, after around 2.5 years in that particular profile, I resigned and decided to pursue my civil service dream, sir. And I also been mentoring some students. And last year, I qualified for Indian Forest Service, and I'm a probationer right now.
You've joined it?
I'm on EOL, sir, 1 year leave right now.
Okay, so you are already in a service.
Yes, sir.
So what are the service you're looking for in this exam?
Sir, I'm looking for IAS and IPS, Indian Administrative and Police Services.
Okay. So tell me, you graduated from IIT Madras Electrical Engineering,
Yes, sir.
right? And you were in Korea. This is what you said.
Yes, sir.
So what made you change your mind moving from corporate sector engineering background to government service?
Sir, I was comfortable in corporate sector as well for pay as well as job satisfaction. But after around 2.5 years there, what I found is that I have been increasingly getting into this groove where I was getting disconnected from the reality of our masses. To take a simple example, I was working on the flagship phones of Samsung, the S-series phones. But eventually, the fact is that those phones are not even marketed properly in India. India is seen as a middle class consumers, and they have a separate series for Indian customers. So I decided that rather than working in this elite group, my aptitude and skills may perhaps be put to use if I pursue a career which can make more of an impact at the grassroots level in India, sir.
You've taken mathematics as your option.
Yes, sir.
Why not electrical engineering?
Sir, by 2007-18 when I joined the startup preparation, it had been a few years since my electrical engineering graduation, and meanwhile I had been working in data science and machine learning capacities. So I felt mathematics would be a more suitable option for me since that.
See, if I look at your application form and the details of your academics and all, it is very clearly written all over that you were a very good student as far as the academics are concerned, right? It is also visible that that is the area you should excel, rather than getting into, as we call, the jack of all trade kind of a service, which is basically, honestly speaking, for mediocres, not really academically bright people, because academically bright people have this tendency of knowing more and more about less and less, and we need people who need to know more and more about more and more. So do you believe that you have it in you as far as the civil services are concerned? Convince me.
Sir, it's true that the services are generalist to an extent, but if you look at the recent trends, we can see that there are a number of changes that are coming in. For instance, the government and the services as well, they are turning more into role-based competencies. Like for instance, if you look at the Karmayogi program, which was initiated recently, they want to create a profile where civil servants who excel in a particular profile are rewarded. And also we are at the juncture where technology is making inroads into all services, whether it be IAS or IPS or even forest service. And I feel that as a person who has a background both academically as well as a working experience in the technological fields, a person like me could be of
to put to good use at this particular juncture in services, sir, is what I feel.
Mathematics is your optional, right? Have you ever used abacus?
Sir, I have seen it. I mean, I'm aware how it works, but I have never used it for a real world
Okay, so which number system it uses? What will be the base of the number system which abacus use? It's not a decimal system for sure.
Sir,
Which system is it?
Sir, it can use binary system, but it can also be adapted for decimal system, sir. That's what
It is, can be adapted, but primarily it is designed for which number base?
Sir, base 2?
No.
Sorry, sir, then I'm not.
Okay, tell me, when we talk about the base of number systems, usually we talk about even bases. It's binary, it's decimal, it's hexadecimal, it's octal.
Yes, sir.
Why not the odd base systems?
Sir, the non-decimal systems, they primarily came into vogue because of the technological revolution, because of the computer age.
And binary predates decimal. There was 6-base system in Indus Valley civilization. There were several.
Sir, it definitely predates computer age, but its modern relevance largely comes from computers, is what I understand, sir. And in computers, essentially, when we get down to it, it's essentially we have like two states, on and off states. So that naturally adapts to the binary system. I mean, we may have quantum computers a decade down the line, but right now we are still working on like on and off states. So two and multiples of it is naturally what comes to programming, and we have essentially been building upon that ever since. So that may explain the popularity of multiples of 2 being popular bases, sir.
Anyways, thank you. Sir.
Thanks.
Hello, Dilip. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you.
Not me, but you. You remember the slogan?
Can you please repeat it, sir?
Not me, but you.
No, sir, I can't repeat it.
This is the creed of NSS.
Okay, sir.
You have worked in NSS in your in your college days?
In my college days, definitely.
What is the objective of NSS?
Sir, it's to do service to the society.
And when was it formed? And who was the person behind this whole movement?
Sir, I'm not aware of that, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Your dad says that you have worked on mentoring of students as well?
Yes, I have. Sir, I have.
Okay. So can you tell us the steps of mentoring? If you have to mentor someone, so what are the 4 steps you are going to take?
Sir, in my opinion, the first step would be to identify the unique needs of the child. Every mentee or student or child is unique, and we'll have to identify their unique needs. And the second step would be to create a specific plan for them for 2 years or 3 years down the line. For example, I've been mentoring IIT JEE students. So for them, it's essentially a 2-year plan. Like in parallel to +1 and +2 studies, they'll be preparing for IIT JEE. So we'll have to prepare a plan. And the third and most important step would be to act as a guide for them alongside. Like for instance, weekly, I usually did it on a weekly basis. During the weekend, I will be contacting them, I'll be assessing their progress, and I'll be providing them a sort of timeline for the next week. So guide, and the last step would be to be a good role model to them. I mean,
Okay.
you can say a lot of things to them, but ultimately you have to show them how it's to be done. So
Don't you think building relationship should be the first step?
that's an important aspect of
That
that.
is the first step of mentoring actually. The confidence has to be there between both of mentee and mentor. Okay, tell us what is the difference between a mentor and a leader?
Sir, the power hierarchy would be the biggest difference there, I feel. A leader is someone who leads from the front, like he acts as a powerhouse of sorts, and he inspires his followers. On the other hand, a mentor sort of walks alongside and guides them. So he's more of a front-end philosopher than a leader, sir. So that would be the main difference, is what I feel.
Please read about mentorship, fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is your understanding of disruptive technology?
The disruptive technologies are essentially the technology which create radical changes, which sort of creates a quantum leaps in technology, sir. AI would be a good example of a disruptive technology which
Okay,
completely overwhelm the industrial processes.
suppose you have to introduce disruptive technology, maybe 2 or 3, for e-waste management. So what are those technologies which you are going to use?
So technology is circular. We'll have to implement circular economy somehow. Like that would be the pillar stone of e-waste.
E-waste, yeah.
E-waste management. So trying to recover rare earth metals and precious minerals would be the first step in. Can be if we can design sufficient technology to do that. For instance, most of the e-waste right now, they have a good amount of rare earth minerals. So, and then we even have minute amount of precious metals like gold and silver. So if we can develop efficient technology to recover that, it can be a cost efficient way. It can pay for itself. So
Okay, another one?
so then I can think of a management step where we can ensure like responsibility for the producers itself. Right now, the primary issue for the e-waste accumulating is that the producers are not held accountable sufficiently. So if we can digitize the entire supply chain, if we can ensure that the supply chain is maintained. I mean, once the product reaches the end of cycle, we have to identify the manager, the producer, and ensure that he takes care of the
Okay,
last.
good. Suppose you are working in administration,
Yes, sir.
and there is a new policy on customer orientation, that we as an administration have to have a policy of customer orientation. Fine. So this is a change process. So how you are going to introduce this change? Other related activities, what are you going to do?
So I think the first step would be to educate my own staff about what the changes are going to be, and the first step would be to enable them to get adapted to the process. And then of course we'll have to put a system in place so that it doesn't depend on any individuals. We'll have to put on proper flowcharts. We have to assign responsibility to specific positions rather than individuals. And once that all this back process is done, then we'll eventually reach out to customers and we'll try to make it as simple as possible for them. Even if the process is complicated, we can break it down. We can assign specific. We can break it down into simple steps that the customers can easily understand. And finally, I think some amount of incentivization can help a lot. For instance, taking the e-waste example earlier, if we can provide a small amount, I mean, if a person returns the mobile phone after it goes out of use, we can provide a small amount of money as rebate or something that will incentivize them for.
How about training and development?
Sir, in most cases, what I feel is that if we can put some sort of in-work training process in place, that can take care of. This is what I feel, sir.
Okay. If you come to know that you have issues on anger management, what are you going to do?
Sir, I think I will take external help. I don't think any person should be left to himself to deal with anger management. So I'll take expert help and I'll follow their instructions, sir. That's what will be
Good. Thank you.
Dilip,
Yes, ma'am.
so if you are posted as DM of a district where sex ratio is very low in some remote district of UP or Bihar, and there people are not very keen on listening to you, so what will you do?
Ma'am, I think behavioral change is the ultimate solution to lower sex ratios. For instance, we had the Beti Bachao scheme, and if we look, I mean, it has not had definite results yet, but we can see that in the latest survey, the sex ratio, I mean, it was a small survey by NSO, but the sex ratio there was actually above 1,000. So behavioral change should be the ultimate aim. So what I would say is, I will try to bring in influential personalities from the community itself. It can be the sarpanches of the community or the local MP or MLAs, and they can be made part of awareness drives. And another thing we can do is, we can try to give them incentives, as we have been declaring earlier. One of the primary reasons that people prefer the male children is that the girls are seen as a burden of sorts for them. So if we can ensure that their education is paid for at least partly by the state, if we can provide some sort of scheme where they can create savings in a convenient manner for their marriage, all these can accumulate in reducing the burden, ma'am. And thirdly, I think we can go along the measures of seeing girl child as a more positive thing. For instance, some 2 years earlier, PM Modi ji had actually initiated a selfie with daughter campaign. So similar campaign can actually lead to daughters being seen as assets of the family rather than burdens, ma'am. So these are.
But isn't it all symbolic?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Isn't it all symbolic? It's not the real change. So how can girls become assets, real assets, in liability?
Ma'am, in my opinion, that would require some amount of radical revamping of society. I think girls are seen as burdens partially because of the patriarchality and norms where women are essentially sent off to other families while male children stay behind and look after their parents. So if we can create if we can at least create awareness that girl children can also take care of their parents, if we can give them examples. For instance, in Kerala at least, there are many girl children who have gone abroad as nurses or such, and they have eventually led to their families climbing up the rungs of social ladder. So if you can provide examples like that, maybe that can bring about some change, ma'am.
Very well said. So suggest me 3 economic reforms which are drastically needed in India right now.
Ma'am, digitization is definitely needed, is what I feel, because we know that more than 90% of our economy is still in the shadows. It's the informal economy. So if we can somehow increase the formalization, at least to an extent, if we can create 30% formal economy, that can have effects in multifarious regions like tax collection or like GST revenues, and even in corporate, more reducing the unemployment. So digitization is definitely required, ma'am. And also, we should make more use of the data that we have. Like if you go to the revenue department or if you go to the MCA, like they have created some reforms, but still a lot of data is still in pen and paper. So if we can digitize it and we can use proper.
First is digitization.
Ma'am, second would be data management, and third would be consumer awareness, ma'am. Essentially, I mean, we can do a lot of things at the back end, but ultimately the people have to come forward themselves. For instance, recently we had the tax amnesty schemes, both in direct as well as indirect taxes, and it actually showed considerable progress and results. So if we can drive home the message that the formalization of economy or getting into the formal economy is actually good for them in various ways, like providing tax credits for GST, that can be helpful.
Very well said. What is Turing test?
Ma'am, Turing test, it was devised by Alan Turing. So the ultimate aim is to distinguish a human being and a computer using a series of questions, ma'am.
Okay, very good. How was Pegasus able to break the encryption? So we get a lot of messages that this social media or chatting service is encrypted, 124-bit encryption, and yet Pegasus could break it.
Ma'am, from what I understand, Pegasus did not technically break the encryption. So it was essentially designed by a state-of-the-art company, and they identified an exploit within the WhatsApp's algorithm, a zero-day exploit. So even the developers were not aware that that particular bug is existing. So they used that to gain backdoor entry into the phones of the users. So once you get into the phones of the users, encryption doesn't matter anymore. So I mean, we are essentially reading WhatsApp messages because the phone is decrypting the message and then showing it to us. So since they were able to get into the phones, they were able to bypass encryption, ma'am, rather than break it.
Very right. Name any 5 non-fiction books that you have read. Just the names.
Ma'am, I'm currently reading Mossad by 2 Israeli journalists. Before that, I read Rafael Nadal's biography, and also Nudge by Richard Taylor, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman and his fellow researchers, and India After Independence by Ramchandra Guha.
And my last question to you, Why is that India is not able to develop single mobile brand, which can be said to be a big name in mobile industry?
Ma'am, there were attempts in that direction, like carbon, but they didn't really take off well. I think the primary issue is that our cost of manufacture has been unable to compete with giants like China, like who were much earlier and like who have like larger economies of scale than us. And another factor is that the technology development, we have been lagging behind a bit. For instance, to take the example of Samsung, which I have first-hand experience, they place their state-of-the-art research centers in Korea. I mean, they have a facility in India also, but there they mostly do software development, which does not require technological expertise. So unless we develop in-house technological expertise, we have to improve our own research and development budget. And till that happens, I think it would be very difficult to compete with companies like Samsung or Apple or other big shots now.
Thank you so much, Dilip.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Dilip,
Yes, sir.
as connected to the last question, that you read non-fiction, right?
I do, sir.
So why are you interested in non-fiction only?
Sir, I do read fiction too, but I feel that non-fiction can be helpful to me as a person to develop my personality. Specifically, since I'm an engineer, for many years of my life, I have mostly been reading more technology-related works. So I thought I could broaden my horizons a bit more by reading upon other areas of knowledge.
Okay, right. Your mother has been, associated with management of education, right? So, do you think that online education is the way forward to develop, comprehensively the personality of children in schools and universities?
Online education has many benefits. For instance, you can take us out of this paradigm of 9 to 5 education. It can be round the clock. It can provide continuous monitoring of students. But what I feel is that it cannot completely replace offline education, specifically in the formative years, because education is not just about learning academic content. It's also about socializing with students, creating common bonds and cultural values. So all this cannot be replaced completely by online education unless we move multiple decades forward, maybe, sir.
Okay, what about the inclusivity of education in terms of online education?
So that's definitely another issue. I mean, I forgot about that earlier. In India specifically, there's a huge technological divide right now. I mean, there was this survey numbers that around 80% of our children, I mean, mostly from rural areas, do not still have a viable internet connection to gain access to the various online platforms that are made freely available for them. So that is also to be taken care of, sir.
Okay, your father has served in police services, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell me something about modernization of prisons.
So that's actually a central scheme. I mean, Kerala government had taken up in the last decade, but right now central government has also provided some overarching guidelines on it. So one of the first steps is to ensure that the under trial prisoners who have been staying there for a long period of time without any due process, that has to be addressed. And there has been this initiative that if they have served more than half of their sentences, they should be given bails on demand. And another aspect is that the prisons lag behind in various areas like digitization and in providing clean infrastructure and facilities. So there has been this drive to provide sufficient funds to each state, partly by the central, partly came up by the state governments themselves to provide adequate facilities, and also to focus more on reformative activities for the prisoners. For instance, they are teaching them entrepreneurial skills, some kind of manufacturing skills in food sector as well as other industries. And for lastly, sir, there has also been this open prison scheme, where promising prisoners have been sent to open prisons so that they can faster integrate with the society and learn the adequate proper skills for that, sir.
Okay, so recently Sri Lanka is undergoing an economic crisis.
Yes, sir.
So can you please explain, especially in terms of reasons and causes for the same?
Yes, sir. Sir, right now Sri Lanka is undergoing a grave debt crisis. They have defaulted on their various sovereign loans amounting to around $51 billion. And coming to causes, there are multiple causes. One is that because of the Easter bombings and later the protracted COVID crisis, tourism sector, which was one of the mainstays of the revenue generation in Sri Lanka, practically collapsed. And also the agricultural sector was thriving primarily because of the large amount of imports of fertilizers. But in the last year or so, they went on this ill-advised drive to shift it completely to organic overnight, and that led to drastic reduction in production of various agricultural sources. So, and also, sir, thirdly, there was this infrastructure drive to create infrastructure, especially in western Sri Lanka around Colombo and Matala regions. But the fact is that many of those loans were practically unsustainable, whether it be were taken from the developmental banks or from the various banks in China. The infrastructure projects didn't really give the projected returns. For instance, Matala airport was supposed to be a rival to the Colombo airport, but eventually the actual footfall turned out to be much lower than the projected footfall. So that kind of ill-advised infrastructure investments also added to the debt burdens, sir.
Over, sir. Dilip,
Yes, sir.
La Liga, English Premier League, Bundesliga. Which one would you pick?
Sir, I'm a fan of La Liga, sir. I would definitely pick La Liga.
And why is that?
Sir, I'm very fond of their playing style. Each team has a definite signature football style. I'm personally a fan of Barcelona and their tiki-taka style of build-up football. But Real Madrid,
But the tiki-taka is failing miserable now.
sir, I wouldn't completely agree. I mean, Barcelona has been on a downfall, but since Xavi came as coach a few months ago, they have been on a path of resurgence. Like last month, they defeated Real Madrid by an impressive margin. So they are.
Tell me, as a football enthusiast, how in the world would anyone tolerate state-funded football clubs like PSG? Isn't it completely anti-competitive in every manner of form?
Sir, in case of PSG, I would partially agree, but perhaps in a developing country, maybe like India, some amount of state funding can be helpful. We know that we have a huge potential. Like we have a large population. I mean, we have created multiple promising footballers, but we have not been able to sustain it. And even our good footballers, they haven't gotten sufficient avenues to explore their skills. Sir, so maybe in developing countries, some amount of state support can be helpful in the formative stages, sir.
Dilip, it is argued that the way in which the Civil Services Code of Conduct rules are drafted, and same applies to even Indian Administrative Service rules, it is made to create civil servants who are psychophancy towards any authority or even obsequious behavior. So much so that they call it a servile. Look what happened in 2018. Not taking names, a state government issued a circular commanding civil servants to raise and get up whenever they meet MPs and MLAs. So is it correct to conclude that civil services is equal to obsequious behavior?
Sir, the examples you quoted are definitely over the top, and that should definitely be condemned. I agree there. But at the
Are the
same
examples over the top or the situations itself are over
the
the top?
situations themselves, I'm sorry, the situations themselves are over the top and should definitely be condemned.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I feel that the conduct rules are necessary for an organized bureaucracy like that of India. I mean, we have like the permanent executive
And
assembly.
being servile is one such behavior.
Not definitely, sir. I mean, I feel that even within the conduct rules, the civil servants can stay true to their values of integrity. It would, I mean, there might be some consequences, but there have been a number of civil servants who are thriving within the system and who are doing remarkable work. But it's true that there are survivalists who are also thriving. So maybe an amount of checks and balances, maybe the various reforms that were proposed by Supreme Court in the TSR Subramaniam case can be a positive step in that regard, sir.
Very good. As a Forest Service official, if there is a palpable conflict between, let us say, Environmental Protection Act and 2013 Forest Rights Dwellers Act, which one would take precedence? And as a forest official, how do you view that situation?
So from what I understand, the Forest Dwellers Act has a non-obstanding clause, which itself ensures that it should take precedence over forest laws when if and only when they come into conflict. And also, sir, the 2013 Act was essentially undoing a injustice that was done to the tribals. The colonial laws essentially saw the tribals as thieves and encroachers in their own territory, and that should have definitely been undone, sir. So I feel that law should definitely take precedence over the various forest.
Excellent. Dilip, when was 10th schedule inserted in Indian Constitution?
So the anti-defection law was introduced in 1985, sir.
1985. So is it correct to conclude that from 1950 right up till 1985, defection was constitutionally permissible?
Sir, in a technical sense, yes.
Not technical sense, no jargons. Was it constitutionally permissible? Binary, yes or no?
Yes, sir, it was constitutionally permissible.
Permissible. Okay, thank you, Dilip.
Okay, Dilip, staying with the forest thing, tell me what are, according to you, the causes of the kind of Kerala floods we witnessed in recent times?
So there are multiple causes. The one fact is that in both the years, the 2018 and 19, when we had large flooding, the monsoon rains were much above average. They were like multiple tens of centimeters above the long-term average. And another fact is that the dam management was found to be less than satisfactory, particularly because the situation was unprecedented. And traditionally, the electricity production is also a big factor. And so the KSAB and similar authorities try to maintain the dams at a high level. So the rules of procedure had to be written after that to ensure that the flood management also takes proper prominence. And another factor is that, sir, in Kerala, the wetlands have traditionally led to mitigation of some amount of flood levels. But in the recent decades, development has led to some of these wetlands being encroached and the built-up area being increased manifold. That also reduced the seepage of water into the lower ground level, and that aggravated the flood level. The flood level started rising much more drastically than before. I would say these are the three main reasons, sir.
Okay, before I let you go, just tell me, what is your strategy to become acceptable in a community? For example, you become officer and you're reaching somewhere and you're still struggling to get acceptability amongst the community. What is going to be your strategy?
Sir, I would say I would start with learning the unique features of the community and the cultural do's and don'ts of the community. And another factor is to try to communicate them in their own language. I mean, it's not just about the mother tongue, it's about their own conventions and traditions and respecting that. So, establishing that we are not a threat to them and we are trying to help them can be helpful a lot in establishing rapport with various communities. So, that will be my first step, sir. And secondly, I feel that over the time, if I am doing my job right, and the people will see that I am doing well and they will eventually accept me for one of them, is what I understand, sir.
Finally, nice talking to you. The interview is over. You can go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are you vaccinated?
Yes.
Fully vaccinated?
Yes.
No symptoms of COVID?
No, sir.
You may remove the mask.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Please introduce yourself to the board, highlighting your educational qualification and experience, if any.
Sir, my name is Gamini Singla and I have done my computer science engineering from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. And post 2019, I have been preparing for civil services and I was offered a job at JP Morgan, but I decided to pursue civil services examinations.
So you are preferring the public life over your career in the private sector?
Yes, sir.
So what is so important and why are you so passionate about joining the public life?
Sir, I'm so passionate about joining the public life because I think it will give me immense satisfaction if I can do something good for the people at the ground level and the kind of exposure that I can get by working in the services to different fields. And also it offers leadership positions at a very young age. So I think these are the factors and the satisfaction is the primary factor that I am here.
Okay, Gamini, today is Panchayati Raj Day. Are you aware of the fact that Panchayati Raj institutions were celebrated on this day only? So today is that day. Your birthday is on 2nd October. Mahatma Gandhi had once said that India lives in its villages, isn't it? And he believed that we cannot create a developed India without a prosperous rural India.
Yes, sir.
In the context of what I have told you just now, you tell me how the Panchayati Raj institutions were created, what was the purpose for creation of Panchayati Raj institutions, and what was the role of women in the Panchayati Raj, and what is the status today?
Okay, sir. Sir, Panchayati Raj institutions were brought by 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts, and the purpose was the decentralization, basically, of the governance and the participation of the people at the ground level in the decision making through the Gram Sabhas. And it also led to women empowerment because it led to reservation of 1/3 of the reservation was given to women at the Panchayati Raj institution levels.
What are three-tier institutions of Panchayati Raj?
So one is the village Gram Panchayat at the village level, then is the block level, and then is the Zilla Parishad at the Zilla level.
What is the role of the panchayats at these three levels? Briefly tell me.
Okay, sir. So at the village level, the role is to involve people in the decision making, to hold Gram Sabhas, and there are also some taxation powers which are given to the Gram Panchayats, Panchayat heads. And so at the block level, it's also about the coordination of the activities of different departments. And at the district level, it's like, again, the coordination of the activities of the block and managing the district as a whole and carrying out the district administration in different spheres. One of them can be disaster management and like.
Okay, wonderful. You tell me, there was a reservation also given to the women in local self-government at the level of Panchayati Raj institutions. And the primary purpose was, according to me, three. The number one was economic welfare of women and children. And other was participation of women in public life. And empowerment of women as individuals. So, have we achieved on those parameters?
So we have come too far and we are achieving. The process still goes on. But at the same time, sir, I think that there are some concepts of panchpatis, as we say, that the women are just ceremonial heads and they're not given the power, if we see. So these are some of the challenges. But still, this institution has given women a power. Their voice is being heard now. And as you said, sir, they're being empowered because now they feel that they can also make decisions. And they're empowering women alongside. Many other women are looking up to them and they are getting motivated by the leadership roles which are held by the women at the panchayat level. So I think it has been a success, but the steps need to be taken further to improve it.
Can you give any example of women doing wonderful work at the local level, at the panchayat level?
So there are multiple women, but now...
Name a few, if you are able to recollect.
So at this moment, I am unable to recall, but I've studied about some.
Okay, you are from Punjab. So how many villages are there in Punjab and where Panchayati Raj institutions, how many institutions are there? Panchayats and all, any idea? How many villages for that matter to begin with?
So I'm unaware of the number of villages, but I know the number of districts that we have in Punjab.
So do you think that number one Panchayati Raj institutions, is it a three-tier Panchayati Raj institution Punjab or otherwise?
So it's a three-tier institution, but in some areas it is said that if the population is lesser, then we can have 2 tiers and the block level can be missed.
What do you think that Panchayati Raj institutions have been given powers for local governance and all that? What do you think needs to be done to make it more powerful and more vibrant?
So I think there can be multiple steps that can be taken for empowerment of Panchayati Raj institutions. First is the improvement of the fund devolution to the Panchayati Raj institutions. Second could be the information education activities to tell them about what powers they hold. Sometimes they are not even aware of the powers they have and what good they can do. So we can run campaigns about telling about the good work that has been done by the Panchayati Raj institutions in various parts of the countries. Third can be the taxation powers are underutilized. So to make them aware of the taxation powers and to help them in utilizing them further. Fourth can be the infrastructure also, specifically the digital infrastructure and the digital literacy, so that they can use the digital mediums to help in the governance.
Has the government of India taken any steps towards this digital, making panchayats more digital?
Yes, sir, there are some steps. One is the Digital India program, and under that we have BharatNet program to connect the Gram Panchayats with the internet connectivity. And apart from that, sir, we also have common service centers specifically for the agriculture, e-agriculture services to be provided at the local level. So these are some of the, and recently, sir, eSwaraj was also a scheme which was introduced for digitization of the land and utilization of the satellites for the mapping of the lands, unutilized lands.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Gamini, are you comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Gamini, what is the meaning of your name?
So my name means to walk.
Yeah.
To walk.
To walk.
Yes, sir.
Any synonyms of this name?
So it has been used in Lopat Gamini to tell about the trains movement further.
Mm-hmm.
So one is from that. And mainly it is a name which is used by the Sinhalese community in Sri Lanka, sir.
Okay. Gamini, so how many miles you walk in a day?
Sir, approximately 1.8 miles, 3 kilometers. I tend to walk a day, yes, sir.
On a regular basis?
Yes, I try to do that on a regular basis.
Okay, Gamini. Gamini, you have used gem Singla
Yes, sir.
in your mail. What is this gem and why you have used this?
This is something which has been given by my father to me. So he used to call me that you're not Gamini, you're Gemini because you're a gem of a person. So I had used this in my email ID and it continues since I have made it for the first time.
So you are a gem of a person.
Yes,
You
sir, I
believe in
believe.
this?
Yes, sir, I believe in that.
What are the most important traits of your personality?
So one is that I'm a compassionate and a very empathetic human being. I can understand the needs of the other persons and I can go an extra mile to help them further. Second, sir, I am a very honest person. So I believe in my moral uprightness and whatever moral values that my parents have given me. So I believe in them. So second is that. Third, sir, leadership qualities. I believe that I have held some positions and I have been able to gather some experience in that field. So these are some of the personality traits.
Can you recollect gem policies of the government of India?
Yes, sir. Government e-marketplace?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. It is a marketplace that has been made by the government of India for public procurement in a transparent manner. And so it serves both the purposes. One, it makes it transparent. And secondly, all the vendors, the MSMEs and the poor people or the rural people, they can directly sell their goods to the government through this platform. So I think it serves a twin purpose.
What is the current status of women empowerment in India?
So women empowerment, we can look from multiple angles. So if we have to look from the labor force participation rate, that unfortunately has declined in the past. But on the other parameters like IMR and MMR, maternal mortality rate, and on the health factors, through various schemes we have improved. And the sex ratio also continues to improve, but we need to take further steps in that as well. And fourth is a political empowerment. So we see more women entering the political arena, and even in the Lok Sabha now we have the maximum number of women till now. And so I think yes, the conditions are improving. But to make women financially independent, we need to take more steps.
This year, what was the motto of International Women's Day?
So I've read about it, but right now I cannot recall. I'll read about it, sir.
Okay, no problem. Do you have any idea about Nirbhaya Fund?
Yes, sir.
What is the current status of this fund?
So I know that this fund was made for the safety of the women and to fund the activities related to the women. But currently I'm not sure about what is the corpus of the fund and what is the exact fund that has been allocated. I'll have to read more about it, sir.
Okay. And what about de-Brahmanization? Are you aware of this concept? De-Brahmanization?
De-Brahmanization?
Yeah, because you are a student of sociology.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, de-Brahmanization is a concept which is opposite of Sanskritization. So, it is believed that now the Brahmins and some of the upper castes are also seeking their reservation and also seeking for the political and for the social empowerment.
Okay. You don't remember the sociological theory regarding de-Brahmanization?
Yes, sir, I will have to read about it.
You have to read about it.
Yes.
No problem. You have used the term Sanskritization.
Yes.
Can you recollect the names of some of the castes who have Sanskritized themselves?
Yes, sir. One is the Nonias community. They have Sanskritized. So right now I'm able to recall.
You are not able to recollect.
Others,
okay.
Yes.
No problem. Related to that, just in one sentence you can reply it that in most of the cases of Sanskritization, the castes generally opt for or they try to imitate the lifestyle of Kshatriyas, not the Brahmins. Why?
So because one, they feel closer to the lifestyle of the Kshatriyas because the Brahmanical lifestyle is believed to be very strict and the lifestyle is very strict. So they believe that it is easier to attain the status of Kshatriyas. And secondly also because it's a warrior class and it is indirectly a political class which has the power in its hands. So second reason could be that.
The only last question from my side. There is a book by M.S. Srinivas that is cast in modern India. And in the present scenario or context, when we observe Indian society, or particularly the urban society of India, we find that the caste is dying. What is your opinion?
Yes, sir. I think that in certain aspects, caste is dying. For example, in the ritual aspects, like interdining is the norm. Professionally, also the barriers have been broken. But in some areas, it stays constant. Like in the marriages, intermarriages are still less. They're happening, but still intercaste marriages are not the norm. And in some areas, sir, caste has increased, like in the political sphere. So we see more caste in politics has increased, and even the caste associations and the people's participation in the caste associations, that continues to increase.
Okay, thank you, Gamni.
Thank you, sir.
Namni, you like public speaking.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you would be posted as a spokesperson to the Ministry of External Affairs. How you will address the press regarding the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war?
So I will go ahead and keep my opinion, India's opinion, in front of the press, claiming that India has always stood for the peaceful dialogue and the peaceful resolution of the disputes through dialogue. And secondly, we are always going to keep our strategic autonomy ahead of everything. And thirdly, that we are ready for any kind of truce and we are ready to facilitate any kind of dialogue between the two. And India does not abide by the unilateral sanctions of any country. So if there are any international sanctions backed up by UN, so India is going to abide by that. So I will make it clear that we stand for peaceful resolutions.
Okay. Why Russia is not proceeding for the expansion of CSTO rather than attacking another sovereign nation called Ukraine? Have you heard about the CSTO?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So it's Collective Security Treaty Organization. So, sir, I think that Russia is not going for the expansion because one, it is a long-term process. So to include the countries in an organization, it takes a lot of time. And secondly, I think that Russia's approach is to curb the increase in the participation in the NATO because more and more countries, as we see Ukraine and earlier there was Georgia also wanted to join NATO. So these countries which are very close to Russia, so they are also going to join NATO. So Russia is a little bit sensitive about its own sovereignty and about the geographical areas that are with Russia. So they want to keep them safe and specifically from any kind of nuclear weapons that are there. So I think they believe that that would be a long-term process and anyhow these countries will not agree to join CSTO. So its main purpose will not be served by just aiming at the expansion.
Okay. It is said that public speakers should be culturally correct, right? Speak something regarding the empowerment of women, considering that you are a public speaker and you are speaking in front of thousands of people.
May I take some few seconds?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I'd like to go ahead. So, hello everyone. So, let's see that women constitute around 50% of the population. And one thing which only women can do is that give birth to a new young born. So, if everybody today is because their mothers have born them somehow. And so I want to say that only a strong and a healthy woman can go ahead and give birth to a healthy baby. And only the healthy babies can become the healthy citizens of India. And if anyhow we need to be empowered, our mothers have to be empowered. Even B.R. Ambedkar said that you need to empower. If you want to empower a man, you will only empower a man. And even, Swami Vivekananda also said
that if you want to empower a man, you will only empower a man. But if you empower a woman, you will go ahead and empower thousands of citizens. So the women empowerment will have a so strong ripple effect on the upcoming generation.
Got it.
Thank you, sir.
What are the expected hindrances of communication while public speaking?
Sorry, sir, I did not get.
What are the hindrances of communication or barriers of communication while public speaking?
So first is the linguistic barriers, because we have so many languages and one language cannot bind all the community. So sometimes the speaker is not ready to speak in the language that the listeners can hear. So I think one is that. And second is the type of audience we are addressing. Sometimes we cannot connect with the audience. And in public speaking and in the communication also, most important is to connect with the audience and to know what they are asking from us. So I think these two barriers are there which prevent the connection of a public speaker with the people around.
Okay, Kamini, I have to understand why everybody coming from Punjab or Bhatinda wants to settle in US or Canada. What's the main reason, and as you perceive?
So I think there are multiple reasons. One is the push factors which are there because of the lack of employment in Punjab particularly. Secondly, the agrarian crisis, and the agriculture is becoming more and less profitable for the farmers, and so their children prefer going outside. Third is the issue of drug menace. So the parents are very afraid that their children might enter into this drug scandal and they might ruin their youth. So these are the push factors. And there are other pull factors because of the easy PR that they can get in some of the countries. And secondly, nowadays social media, when they see the pictures of their friends, of their families who have settled there, so it kind of persuades them to apply for outside because they feel that everything is going to be good there. So these are the factors.
My last question. You are a sociology student. In what ways gender budget could be better for women empowerment?
So I think gender budgeting needs to be done very carefully, and it needs to be done as something which is irreplaceable, because funding for the schemes of the women is very essential.
So do you believe that the allocation of fund is the only way to empowering women?
So it is one of the ways, and it is not sufficient. So we need to allocate the fund, and secondly, we need to monitor that whether that fund is being utilized. Thirdly, I think we need to have impact assessments, social impact assessments, and the legislative impact assessments, that whether the schemes are reaching the women or not. And fourthly, we should have audits and feedbacks from the women themselves. So any fund that is allocated, we should make women the owners of the program or the scheme, so that they know what is beneficial for them, and then the funds are utilized in the best possible manner, keeping into account the outcome-based approach.
Very good, Kamini.
Thank you, sir.
Gamini.
Yes.
Gamini, a student of sociology. It is said that what is good for politics is bad for economics. So the culture of the freebies that we see around us, even in Punjab itself, I hope you might be guessing, that freebie culture. So how these kind of the cultures that is prevailed in India and specifically in Punjab is hampering the economic interest of the state.
So the freebies, as we say, is provision of the goods and services to the people free of cost. So some freebies which are not directly related to the upliftment of the population, they lead to a burden on the exchequer, public exchequer. So what happens is that the subsidies that we tend to give, they go from the revenue of the state, and then the state's power to implement or to invest in the fields or in the public goods like health, in the education, that is constrained. So one is that. And second is that the state becomes debt ridden. As we see in Punjab, the debt is soaring very high. So once the state becomes debt ridden, again the expenditures on the good things or on the purposeful things, they tend to decline. And thirdly, sir, one more connection can be there, that by giving freebies, we tend to inflate. We tend to promote inflation as well, because now free of cost the services or the goods are being given, and the money that will be saved, that can lead to conspicuous consumption.
Right. So student of sociology, recently we have seen one of the course in nursing. The chapter has been added related with the merits of the dowry. Okay. You being a good public speaker, can you point out minimum 3 points, the merits that lies in with the system of the dowry?
So one is the confidence that a woman has, that her parents have contributed financially to the family, and that she is not living here just on the money of their in-laws or of the husbands. So she has her confidence that I have paid my share to be here. One is that merit. Second is again, I think the confidence of the bride's parents, that again we have contributed. So I'll think more about it. I will think
Not
about
an
it.
issue. Amrita Pritam. You might have heard this name. I think it's a household name in Punjab.
Sorry, sir. I might have heard. If you could give me a clue, I will understand.
Kagas Te Canvas.
Yes, sir.
Amrita Pritam.
Yes, sir.
So, how Amrita Pritam has helped through her poetic, literary contribution to revitalize the conscience of the people in Punjab?
Sir, I have heard her name, but I have never heard her poetry, so I think I will not be able to answer in a good manner this
All right,
question.
not an issue. Supreme Court has recently observed through its various, we can say petitions, that the conviction rate, in cases of, the atrocities against the SCs and the STs are very low. What are those possible reasons that it might have been observed by it? In a condition when a large chunk of the population percentage that comes from the SC community.
So there could be multiple reasons for this problem. One could be the lack of the evidence and lack of the material to prove that they have been verbally or physically or sexually abused. So to prove this, we need an evidence, and the law works through evidence. So if there's lack of evidence you are unable to prove, then I think then the chances of acquittal are high. Second could also be the false complaints nowadays against by the SC community and misuse of the law provisions. So second could be that. That is why the conviction rate could be lower.
Are you aware of the latest developments related with the registrations of the FIR in these kind of cases? Whether the investigation has to be put first or the FIR has to be lodged first?
So there were some changes in the law under which it was said that before the FIR there should be a minimal investigation that should be done as per the Supreme Court. But after that, I think it was reversed by another act by the government because the SC/ST communities, they were protesting against this. So I think now FIRs have to be registered and then the
Last
investigation.
one. Gamini, we have seen like last year, India has chaired a session of UNSC in the capacity of its chairman. What proposals it has put forward in the capacity of being chairman before the international community?
So India has been timely and again it has put forth its view for the expansion of the United Nations Security Council and specifically the expansion of the permanent seats in the UNSC, and it has its valid points there because it believes that the permanent members in the UNSC, they are no longer representing the population of the world. So the countries, developing countries like India, which represent a huge population, are democratic countries and are doing economically well.
Is India supporting any African countries' candidature to the permanent seat in UNSC?
African countries?
Yes.
So in the G4 there is no African country, but South Africa, we are collaborating with South Africa for the permanent seat in the UNSC.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Gamini, you are from Anandpur Sahib, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell me something about Anandpur Sahib resolution.
Okay, sir. So Anandpur Sahib resolution was brought in 1973 and it was brought by the government of the day and in 1973. So there were many points in it. So the first one was the autonomy that must be given to the states, and it proposed that apart from some areas like communication, like defense, other matters should be left to the state. Second was the transfer of Chandigarh to Punjab. The capital Chandigarh should be transferred to Punjab, and some of the Punjabi speaking areas of Haryana should also be transferred to Punjab. Third issue was to bring in All India Gurdwara Act so that all the Gurdwaras could be under one body. So third was that. And fourth, it also proposed for the improvement in the education and the health of the state. And fifth was that the union government should also promote Punjabi in different states.
Okay, Solomon Islands, it is in news for a security pact, right?
Yes.
So tell me something about it.
So recently, Solomon Islands have entered into a security pact with China, and that has raised some concerns in the United States and Australia. So this is the news, sir.
Okay, what is AUKUS in the area here? An organization, right?
Yes, sir. So it's an organization consisting of Australia, United Kingdoms, and United States, in which the UK and US are promising the nuclear-backed submarines to the Australia. It's a kind of military pact in the region.
And what are 5 I countries?
So 5 I countries are the countries which share the intelligence across the countries. Should I name the countries?
Yeah.
Okay. So New Zealand, Australia, we have United Kingdoms, United States, and
Okay. Your option is sociology, okay?
Yes.
So do you think Max Weber's ideas on bureaucracy are still relevant today?
So in some cases, I would say they're still relevant because Max Weber proposed that bureaucracy will be the institution which is going to be governing the modern states nowadays, and we see that the bureaucracy is holding its power and is, as it said, it's the steel frame of India. So one is that he proposed that it will be based on the rules and regulations, the entries that is being done. They will have a hierarchy that is being done. He also said that they will have fixed salaries and the payments that is there. So number 4, he also said about the formalistic impersonality, and 5th was about that the personal and the professional things should not be mixed. So in these areas, a little bit of dispute is there because in formalistic impersonality, it means that a bureaucrat should not work with either hatred or passion. But nowadays, it is being said that the bureaucrats should work with passion and they should have empathy towards the people for whom they are working. So I think in this area, we are slightly divergent. And he even said that in the self-criticism, he mentioned about the iron cage of a bureaucrat, that the bureaucrat might not be able to think innovatively and secondly, he might not be able to frame policies and it might lead to red tapeism. So that also we have witnessed a few times, but I think the situation is improving with time.
Okay, my last question to you is, one of your interest is listening to Nilesh Mishra's short stories. So what is something unique you find in those stories?
So one is the novelty of the idea. Whatever story he brings, the kind of message that it has in the end is something like an eye-opener for me. And because in the middle of the story, I always wonder that what should be the ideal ending. And if it is the same, I tend to like it. But if it's different, I think I learn something new from his stories. And second is the sound effects that his stories have. Because if he says that, just an example, that a pen fell, so it will give a sound effect of the falling pen. Or if a train is passing, so the train's horn will be listened. So these are some of the things that I like about him, specifically the issues that he raises. Every story, social issues are raised relating to grandparents, gender. So some of these issues that he raises, I like listening to the stories.
You're a debater, a public speaker, you have participated in non-profit organization. So many facets of your personality you can see. And just now you have demonstrated your mental grit and determination as a public speaker also. We wanted to know listen more on your qualities of head and heart. So let us come to debate, from public speaking to debate. I'll give you 2 topics. You choose one topic and speak for 1 minute for the question. One is, I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. Second topic is, the audio system is a social level which is eating into the vitals of our society. Choose one and speak for the motion for 1 minute.
So I would like to go with the first option because it's closer to my heart.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So the motion is that I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. And today I'm here to present for the motion. So I am Damini Singla, and I believe that I have always walked steadily, and I have always believed that slow and steady wins the race. So by walking slowly, I have been able to reflect back on whatever my journey has been. If it is successful, then I have been able to learn from it that these things leads to success. And if it's failure, I tend to walk more slowly so that I can understand what were the points that led me to failure. But I never look back or I never walk back. I can slow down for a time to understand and to accumulate whatever has led to the situation I am in. But I tend to walk further, improving over myself. And every step I take is new. No two steps are the same because with every step I tend to learn something. And I think it adds to my personality. So I take both my pros, both my cons, both my weaknesses and strengths with me. But I will never walk back because I think going back on what one has decided, it's a thing of cowardness. And I'm not a coward. I'm a person who believes that one must be able to face whatever the decisions they have taken, whether right or wrong, that destiny will tell. And we need to accept. If it's wrong, we need to improve to make it right further. And if it is right, we need to stay humble. And humility is the core. We cannot be overconfident about our successes. So both the things should be balanced, and we must work slowly so that we do not miss out on life.
Thank you very much, Gami. Your interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
So why didn't you pursue your career in academia? The rationale for keeping two seats separate for Kashmir. Please give a brief introduction about yourself.
Sir, my name is Prasanjit Kaur. I belong from district Poonch of Jammu and Kashmir. I was born and brought up in district Poonch itself. After completing my schooling from my home district, I graduated in the year 2020 from Government Degree College Poonch. Then I pursued my masters from University of Jammu and I completed it in 2022. Since then, I have been preparing for civil services. In 2023, sir, I was selected into Jammu Kashmir Public Services. Though as of now, we have not joined it. With regard to UPSC and civil services, this is my first attempt here, sir. And as an individual, I take interest in teaching.
Prasanjit, I was asking you the same question. Academically, you have done so well, both at the graduation level and at the post-graduation level, having scored 9.17 on a scale of 10. It's not a small achievement. So why didn't you pursue your career in academics where there is really dearth of talents?
See, there are many reasons why I have chosen civil services instead of academics. The first thing, sir, is that I belong from a very humble background, and from that background, I want to create an identity for myself. And I think civil services is the best platform in that regard. Moreover, sir, if I will go into research and then after that into higher education sector, I would be associated with only limited number of students, and I would be able to benefit only those people, not to the masses. So, in order to get in touch with the masses and to benefit those people, I chose this area.
So, Prasanjit, what you want to convey to us that the teachers in our country, the research scholars in our country, they don't have any identity. They lack identity, isn't it?
So, it is not the case. But personally, I was more interested in civil services than in research. Experiments and the entire process did not interest me a lot.
Okay. So, what do you mean by delimitation?
So, delimitation refers to the process in which the geographical identity of constituencies are designed for the elections into the legislature.
So, delimitation commission was set up in Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes, sir.
What are the broad recommendations of the delimitation commission?
So, very recently, delimitation commission for Jammu Kashmir has put forward its recommendations. The very first recommendation is that there would be about 114 seats in our legislature. About 24 seats have been reserved for the POK region and rest for the Jammu and Kashmir. The second thing, sir, about 7 seats are reserved for the SC category and about 9 seats for the ST category. In addition to it, sir, there has been also provision for the reservation of the Kashmiri Pandits. In addition to it, some of the constituencies have been renamed. For example, the area of North Kathua has been renamed as Jasrota, and the area of South Kathua has been renamed as Kathua only. And so these are the broad limits.
Why 24 seats, as you have mentioned, have been kept earmarked for POK?
Always be an integral part of Jammu and Kashmir. Though for time being it has been under the control of Pakistan, but we always assure that those people are actually the people of India only and they are the citizens of India. That is why we have kept their due share in that.
Why? What is the rationale for keeping two seats separate for Kashmiri Pandits?
So, Kashmiri Pandits are the people who are belonging from the Saraswat Brahmin community. These people faced mass exodus from Jammu and Kashmir in 1990s. And now we have a provision for reservation to these people so that they can get adequately represented in the legislature and their voice should be better heard.
What is the constitutional basis for the delimitation?
So, in Constitution, to the best of my knowledge, Article 82 provides for this delimitation.
Okay. Now let us talk something about Ladakh also. What are the issues Ladakh is facing and why?
Sir, if I consider the present situation, the chief issue which Ladakh is facing is actually its political identity. Ladakh for a long period has been demanding the statehood title and the protest is going on in this regard.
So what is the solution? Suppose you are given mandate to find a solution to the Ladakh problem, then what will you suggest?
Sir,
why?
I will suggest strengthening of the Hill Development Councils which was set up in Ladakh in 1995. I think its strengthening would be the way forward for the time being because statehood as of now is something which cannot be afforded to Ladakh considering its situation. So I think strengthening of Hill Development Councils.
That is what you suggest.
Yes, sir.
Any job reservation for the locals you will promote?
Sir, it may be thought of because Ladakh for a very long period of time has been economically backward when compared to rest of Jammu and Kashmir. In this regard, we may think of such reservation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Prasanjit.
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of Prasanjit?
Sir, the word Prasanjit is made up of two words, Prasan and Jeet. Prasan relates to delighted and Jeet relates to victory. So it means delighted victory.
Okay, so right now you are feeling the same?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can also feel that. Prasanjit, when we visit Poonch area,
Yes, sir.
so there is a signboard. Welcome to Poonch. That is the Valley of Seven Lakes.
Yes, sir.
What are these 7 lakes?
Sir, there are lakes like Nandan sir, Sukh sir, Neeli sir, Kaldachni sir, Katora sir, Bagh sir. Sir, I'm able to recall only 6.
6. And what about 7? You have visited all these places?
Sir, no.
You have not visited
No,
these
sir.
places. Have you visited another tourist attractions in Poonch?
Yes, sir. Sir, I visited LOC Trade Center in Poonch, which is known as Chakkadi Bagh, from where trade is conducted in the Pakistan region. Similarly, sir, I have visited Buddha Amarnath Ji's shrine, where every year there is actually a huge procession that takes place. I have also visited Gurudwara Nangali Sahib. These are some of the important things.
This Buddha Amarnath temple is different from main temple, that is Amarnath temple. What is the difference between the two?
Sir, if you consider the name only, Buddha Amarnath, Buddha means somewhat old. It is believed that God Shiva actually started narrating Amar Katha to goddess Parvati at this place only, and then they started moving towards the Amarnath Ji's cave located at Anantnath.
Okay.
That is why, sir.
That's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Prasanjit, when we talk about the economies of two very, very famous temples, one that is the Amarnath temple and second that is Vaishno Devi, okay? Do you have any idea about their economies, how economically they are significant to GDP of Jammu and Kashmir?
Sir, if we consider both of these temples, Vaishno Devi temple and the Amarnath Ji shrine, both of them are very important for economy of Jammu and Kashmir. Many tourists from across the country visit these areas every year, and as such, when the tourist comes, they definitely will bring economic worth for the local people. Local people are able to sell their products to these tourists. Also, the hotel industry that will also flourish, along with the transport industry, sir. And moreover, sir, it is not only the financial aspects; it is actually related to the values which these tourists bring with them to this area. So, people of Jammu and Kashmir are very benefited from this.
Okay, so that not only the economically, as you have just said, I think it's also a kind of leading to some sort of integration.
Yes, sir.
You have done zoology. There is just one zoological park in the entire Jammu and Kashmir. Can you recollect the name?
Sorry, sir, I will look into it.
There are 5 national parks besides that.
Yes, sir.
Name them.
Sir, we have Dachigam National Park, we have Kishtwar High Altitude National Park, we also have, sir, I will look into it.
Last question from you.
Yes, sir.
Because Prasanjit, you belong to Poonch area, and generally whenever we ask questions from persons living outside Jammu and Kashmir regarding the problems of Jammu and Kashmir and their solution. Now tell me, post 370 situation scenario. Now, what is the challenge? What are the 3 important challenges and how to solve them?
So, as a region, Jammu Kashmir is facing a number of challenges. The first one definitely would be the challenge of extremism and radicalization seen in people. And I think, sir, soft, hybrid and hard approach together will help to solve the situation. The second thing, sir, is definitely the issue of connectivity. And I think better road construction would be the way in that regard. And, sir, the third thing I would say is the limited economic development in Jammu Kashmir. We do not have much of the industries in Jammu and Kashmir. And as such, employment situation is not much good there. So, I think by focusing on these, we will be able to have a very good picture for Jammu Kashmir.
So your selection in civil services will also boost the morale of girls in Jammu and Kashmir or not?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Okay, last objective kind of question. Whether do you want integration of Azad Jammu and Kashmir or not?
Sir, I will definitely say yes, but not for the time being.
Why not for the time being?
This is because of the fact that if we consider Jammu and Kashmir, particularly Kashmir region, people do not feel much secure about their integration with Jammu and Kashmir. If we will integrate POK region as of now, it may increase problems for India and the stability in Jammu and Kashmir region at large.
Kinds of problem? Just name 1 or 2.
So, internal stability would be an issue, terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir would definitely be an issue, and the infiltration across the border would increase.
Okay, thank you, Prasanjit.
Thank you, sir.
Hello Prasanjit, how are you?
Sir, I'm fine.
Prasanjit, you have taken zoology as your option.
Yes, sir.
We always talk about diversity when we study zoology, right?
Yes, sir.
And why is your personality so linear? I don't see anything except studies in your entire life. Tell me the areas on the basis of which you can say that you carry a diverse personality.
Sir, though I would say I have been very limited in the extracurricular activities because I focused more on my studies.
So you believe the studies are better than extracurricular activities?
Sir, I do not entirely believe it, but
My question is, give me the aspects of your personality which proves that you carry a diverse personality which is required to become a civil servant.
sir, I like to
Teach, which is academics. What else?
sorry, sir.
So do you believe that you carry a linear personality?
Up to some extent, sir.
What are your plans to make it a little diverse?
Sir, I would like to learn music in my life, and similarly, I would also like to learn something related to dance also because I
Are
will.
you waiting to get into civil services to do so?
Sir, no. Each and every opportunity, actually, I want to first of all become financially independent of myself, so that I may not get dependent on anyone else. And it is only after that.
You visited Gurdwaras?
Sir, yes.
Which music is played?
Sir, it is Shabad.
Shabad. Generally, what are the prominent ragas in Shabad?
Sorry, sir.
Okay, get back to academics then. Zoology?
Yes, sir.
What is the structure of Zoological Survey of India?
Sir, Zoological Survey of India was constituted in the year 1916. Its headquarters is present in Kolkata, and it coordinates with IUCN to list the species which are endangered.
Is that an ongoing survey, or it's a survey which is conducted after a certain period of time?
So, Zoological Survey of India is actually an institute. Yes, sir.
And there's no survey done.
It looks for periodic analysis, sir.
Periodic analysis.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me, if you look at the Jammu and Kashmir, and you're a zoology student, what exactly is the fauna of Jammu and Kashmir? Prominent features of fauna of Jammu and Kashmir which you'd like to mention?
Sir, we in Jammu and Kashmir have a rich flora as well as fauna. If we consider fauna, we have a number of species in Jammu and Kashmir. For example, sir, we have Hangal deer. We also have Himalayan brown deer. In addition to it, sir, we also have some species of teher and also a number of species of birds which are present in Jammu and Kashmir.
And what is the prominent, as we say, the cornerstone species?
Sir,
Okay. If you compare the fauna of Jammu and Kashmir with, say, the eastern Himalayas fauna, what are the major difference you'll find?
so if we consider eastern Himalayas, particularly in the area of the northeast, if we consider, rainfall there is comparatively higher as compared to Jammu and Kashmir, and so we can expect that the animals which will live there will have adaptation to high humid conditions also, and also to higher rainfall.
Okay, you mentioned that you like education.
Yes, sir.
What are the NEP provisions that will have a greater bearing on Jammu and Kashmir?
Sir, National Education Policy 2020 has a number of provisions that would definitely affect and benefit not only Jammu and Kashmir but also rest of the
Specific about
country.
Jammu and Kashmir.
Sir, it has a provision for vernacular language promotion also, and in this regard, many of the vernacular languages of Jammu and Kashmir, like Pahari, Gojri, they would definitely be uplifted. In addition to it, sir, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, the students, they will be benefited since they will be instructed in their mother tongue. Also, sir, there has been a provision of vocational training also, and Jammu and Kashmir people and Jammu and Kashmir students would be benefited by this because they will be able to get better skills in this regard, starting from their very school age itself.
Thank you. So, Prasenjit,
Yes, sir.
you used to speak which dialect?
Sir,
Any dialect you used to speak?
sir, we used to prefer Hindi only.
Prefer.
Yes, sir.
But generally you used to talk
Sir, we have local Pahari language, Unchi language.
Unchi language.
Yes, sir.
How many dialects are there in Jammu and Kashmir?
Sorry, sir.
You don't
I will look into it.
Unchi dialect.
Yes, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself in Unchi?
मेरा नाम प्रसन्नजीत कौर है और मैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट पुंछ की रहने वाली हूँ और ये मेरा यूपीएससी में पहला अटेम्प्ट है. Yes, sir.
Unchi is almost kind of Hindi.
Yes, sir. Almost similar to it.
What are the differences between Unchi and Kadi Hindi, Kadi Boli?
Sir, linguistically there have been some differences. Also, sir, when it comes to Punchi, we do not have any written text as such. It is more or less based on oral perception.
Oral perception. Is there any script of Unchi?
No, sir.
Okay. You belongs to Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes, sir.
You came to Delhi. You were currently in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
So is there anything which appeals you that you have to take if something happens here in Delhi? You could have taken it to Jammu and Kashmir, or something which appeals to you from Jammu and Kashmir to take it to Delhi. And what are those things?
Sir,
At least 2-3 things. You should
okay,
say.
sir. So, if I consider from Delhi to Jammu and Kashmir, definitely one would be the progressive thoughts which people have. The second would be slightly more degree of independence which a Delhiite enjoys as compared to what we have in Jammu and Kashmir. And the third one, I think, would be better prospects in terms of education, in terms of health in Delhi. From Jammu and Kashmir, what I would like to bring here would be, the first thing would be better weather conditions, and the second thing, sir, I would say is somewhat calm and peace in the life, because in Delhi or in any big city, life is very complex as well as busy. So I think that is something.
You know about world's highest railway bridge?
Yes, sir.
Where it is situated?
Sir, it is under construction in Jammu and Kashmir in the region of Kishtwar. It will connect Kishtwar to that of Anantnag, and it is built over Chenab River. It is believed that it is about 30 meters taller than Eiffel Tower.
30 meter highest from Eiffel Tower.
It is believed.
How many commissionerate are in Jammu and Kashmir?
Sorry, sir.
What are the differences between lieutenant governor and governor?
So there are many differences between the two. The very first thing is that the office of the governor is mentioned in the part 6 of Indian Constitution, whereas in the case of LG we find reference in part 8. The second thing, sir, when it comes to governor, it enjoys broad functions in the state, but an LG is considered to be a representative of center in the union territory. Moreover, sir, if we consider numerically, we have a number of governors in our country, but the number of LGs are very restricted.
Why Jammu and Kashmir is a point of discussion if we discuss between India and Pakistan?
So there are many reasons for the same. The first one, starting from the historical perspective of the decision of Maharaja Hari Singh in this regard. The second thing, sir, is the dispute of the Indus water and its sharing between the two countries, and these are two major issues, sir.
Okay. If you compare Jammu with Kashmir Valley, I would say,
Yes, sir.
what are the differences and what are similarities?
So, if we consider the differences first, the first one would be climatic. If we consider Jammu, we have a subtropical climate, but in Kashmir there is a temperate region. The second thing, sir, I would say about the demography. In Jammu we have a predominant Hindu population, but in Kashmir we have a predominant Muslim population. The third thing, sir, I would say is regarding the tourist potential. Kashmir has a slightly more tourist potential as compared to Jammu, and many people actually visit that area as compared to the Jammu region, if I consider. The fourth will be the internal security situation. In Kashmir, it is slightly more complex, or you may say it is not that much normal as it's seen in the Jammu region.
Okay. If you have to compare demographic differences, if we see PO, okay, Pakistan occupied Kashmir and outside Kashmir, could you compare?
Sir, yes, sir, definitely. Sir, if we consider Jammu and Kashmir, which is part of India, we have a demography that is more or less very similar to what was existing in 1947. But in the region of POK, which is under Pakistan control, in 1974 there was an order which was brought out by the Pakistani government, allowing people from rest of the country to buy land in that area. So there has been a major demographic change in POK region, but we in Jammu and Kashmir have more or less the similar situation.
In POK, what kind of people are residing recently in general?
Sir, I think they are majorly followers of Islam.
Followers of Islam. Okay. If you have to give my last question, five major achievements of current central government.
Yes, sir. The first one, sir, I will say in the social sector. The first one, sir, would be the e-governance sector. We have massive improvement in that regard. The second one, sir, if I consider agriculture, we have the schemes like PM Kusum, which have brought massive benefits to our farmers. The third thing, sir, if I consider the area of the education, new education policy of 2020 is definitely a hallmark in that regard. The fourth thing, sir, if I consider international prospects, India has been broadening its ambit in that area also. At present, we are the chairman of G20. Also, we hold the seat in the SEO. So that is another important area. And the fifth one, I would be suggesting is the internal stability in the country. Be it the Naxal hit region, be it the northeast, or be it the Jammu and Kashmir situation is improving as compared to what it had been traditionally. So I think, sir, these are some of the major achievements.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you, sir. Prasenjit, as a student of zoology, can you tell me that despite the fact that tiger, lion, and leopard belong to the same genus, but they belong to two different species, how did that happen? What led to them being belonging to different species despite having the same ancestor? Son, lion, tiger, and leopard, both of these definitely belong from different species, and that divergence actually took place during the course of evolution. When these species inhabited different areas, as per the modern theory of the evolution, they evolved according to that area. Variations were incorporated in them, followed by natural selection and isolation, and ultimately, ma'am, this led to the variation. Okay, what is the specific demarcation to call individual or an organism to be belonging to different species? Though there are many criteria, but the most important one is actually the ability of the organisms to reproduce with one another. If they are able to do so, then they are broadly regarded as members of one species only. Apart from it, ma'am, we also have some morphological basis on which we come to that conclusion. Okay. Recently, we have had the tiger census, and we are also celebrating 50 years of Project Tiger. And we have seen that consistently we have increased the population and numbers of tigers in India. On the other hand, we are also seeing the increasing number of man-wildlife conflict. Do you feel that there should be a deadline to this Project Tiger, keeping in view the man-wildlife conflict? Ma'am, I do not feel that a deadline concept will help to resolve this matter. Instead, I think cooperation among the government, the people, is the must. Along with it, we need to promote the tribal people who are actually living in the forest, and they can help to truly guard these organisms. So I do not believe if the numbers of the top predator continues to increase, obviously we would need more land to provide them with the habitat, and there would come a time that when they will run out of the land because we are increasing human population also. Do you still feel that Project Tiger is sustainable? Ma'am, our ecosystem is self-sustaining. It is having the ability to sustain each and every individual up to a limit. We cannot say that tigers will go on increasing in an unsustainable level. There are many checks, both natural, like the diseases or the forest fire, and that will bring their population down to a sustainable level. We have a carrying capacity in our ecosystem, ma'am. Coming to the Forest Rights Act that was implemented in the region from which you come. But still, the tribals themselves have not been very happy with the way it has been implemented. What are the issues with respect to it? Ma'am, many people are charged under Forest Rights Act, but ma'am, unfortunately, majority of them are actually the tribal people who are dependent upon the forest for collection of the money. The Forest Rights Act is basically to provide them with their traditional rights on forest. Why are they being charged under it? Ma'am, frequently there have been some misunderstandings on the part of the security agencies, and that is why frequently they are booked under it. And has something been done about it? Okay, my last question to you. We do see that India's relation with Pakistan have been on cold track for quite some time. What do you feel is good for the region, that is Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh region, of its development, whether having a good relationship with Pakistan or the way the things stand right now? I think progress can take place only in a peaceful environment, and similar will be the situation in Jammu Kashmir. If Jammu Kashmir wants to progress, then definitely there is a need of peaceful environment with Pakistan. If unless and until we have that peace, there would be infiltrations, there would be problems, and I cannot clear why isn't government paying heed to this aspect? Because having this cold relation is not helping anybody. It's just that we are taking a grandstanding on the issue of certain things that unless the Pakistan doesn't nudge, we won't be going forward and be in the conversation with them. Ultimately, the losses of India and in the long run. So why isn't government trying anything from its end? Ma'am, government is trying everything and it is engaging in talks with Pakistan. We also have some smart border defense installments across Jammu and Kashmir. But ma'am, this is actually a historic issue and it will take time to settle. Moreover, in Pakistan, ma'am, we do not have only elected government. We also have a military which actually controls the major affairs of the state. So I think, ma'am, it will take time to settle, but government is taking its due. Thank you, Krishna.
Sanjit, you know MSME?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you are posted district head in Pooch. How will you encourage MSMEs there?
Sir, in order to give encouragement to MSMEs, first thing I would ensure is the availability of loans to these people, since that is actually an issue for them. The second thing would be the awareness of these people to the government schemes. We in Jammu Kashmir have an initiative known as SAT. targeted at these MSMEs. So I will ensure that initiative is informed to the people. Moreover, sir, I would ensure that whatever products these are manufacturing, that is actually sold to the targeted people. Very recently, we had some initiative in which there was a MOU signed with the group Misho for the selling of their products. So I think by all these methods, I would be able to revive their situation.
What do you mean by cluster development program in the context of MSME?
Sorry, sir, I forgot to.
Okay, thank you very much, Prasenjit. It was nice talking to you. The interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, Ishita Rathi.
Yes, sir.
Ishita, will English be your preferred medium for interview?
Yes, sir.
Ishita, I hope you have noticed that we have taken many steps when it comes to COVID. And one of the steps is that we have kept your chair at a safe distance from any of us. That will make you feel safe, and it will make everybody else also feel safe, right? Another advantage of this arrangement is that if you wish, you could consider removing your mask, considering that you are at a safe distance and you'll be feeling relaxed and the conversation will be better.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to remove your mask?
Yes, sir.
Please do. I hope you're not having any symptoms.
No, sir.
You got your vaccination done?
Sir, first dose.
Okay. Fine then, Ishita, let us start. To begin with, tell us something about you.
Sir, my name is Ishita Rathi. I was born and brought up in Delhi. However, my roots lay in rural Uttar Pradesh. Both my parents are in Delhi Police, which has been a major motivation why I decided to join civil services. I did my graduation in economics from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. I did my post-graduation in economics from Madras School of Economics. I have interest in mentoring and guiding students, and I like to play volleyball in my free time.
So, Ishita, you did your graduation from LSR Delhi. Then you went all the way to Tamil Nadu, despite there are around 3 central universities in Delhi which teaches economics. Any particular reason for love for Tamil Nadu?
Sir, I looked at the course structure of institutes that were offering economics and masters in Delhi. They were more inclined towards mathematical and statistical aspect of economics. Then I looked at the course structure of Madras School of Economics, and it were offering more analytical, theoretical, and interdisciplinary nature of economics. So I decided to join Madras School of Economics.
Good. You've taken economics as your optional.
Yes, sir.
My colleagues will be having questions on economics as experts. But before that, can you tell me, if you look at Delhi is your home state,
Yes.
right? You have claimed Delhi as your home state. If you look at Delhi and Delhi's economy, do you believe that of late the industrial sector, the manufacturing sector, which used to play a very important role at a time, is now fast lingering, and it's Delhi is becoming far more service-based economy?
So that is true. The service sector contributes around 80% to Delhi's gross state domestic product. And if we look at industry, it contributes around 14 to 15% of gross state domestic product. Delhi has been a very attractive destination for foreign direct investment, particularly in the multinational corporations, which are related to more service-oriented. So, sir, Delhi is providing infrastructure, it is providing access to more educated as well as skilled workforce. So it is becoming a more attractive destination.
If you leave the economic fallouts of this for a little later discussion, but can you tell me how this